I can't talk.
All right. Guys, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
That was a bit of a tense moment there. I had a lot of stuff I had to do.
There's always some things to do before the live show. It's always a little crazy.
I have a surprise.
Whoa. Superhero muffins.
There you go.
Yo, yo, yo. I have actually never had one of these yet. And I know they're all the rage.
They are quite good. So I made this from the Run Fast, Eat Slow book.
Yeah.
How are we doing for all
I just want to see, do we want to start the recording?
Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. Welcome to TRE Live Show. What is this number? I don't even know.
This is number 85.
85, episode 85. We're talking about a 3,100 mile race with Sanjay Rawal.
We need a lot of muffins to get to that 3,100 mile race.
And we are going to have our first bite of the superhero muffin.
Oh, yeah. This is like a smoothie, but a muffin.
Where are you going that?
It is great. I don't know where it's going to go.
You got my smoothie to wash it down.
Here we go. What is in the muffins, Craig?
That's the first part of our show is just a chewing sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is in the muffins? Asking for a friend.
Almond meal, oats, carrot, an apple, some honey, butter, walnuts. Yeah, all the good stuff. It's really tasty. I haven't baked anything in years and years.
This really hits a spot because I am hungry after doing my 100 burpees this morning.
There you go.
I know. Guys, the burpee challenge is in its fourth week. And for those of you guys who are just coming in and you're like, what is this whole burpee challenge thing? Way back a million years ago on January 7th, which feels like a million years ago, but only was a short few weeks.
Many burpees
ago, we kicked off a challenge where you could choose the number of burpees you started each day. It could be 1, it could be 5, it could be 10. And then for the first week, you committed to that number, 1, 5, or 10. And then week 2, you had to add 10 additional burpees. So it would be 11, 15, 25, etc. And build up from there. And I really wanted to finish on 100. So I started at 70, and then I went 70, 80, 90, and now I'm into 100.
What do you think the burpee equivalent of the 3,100 mile race would be?
Oh, man. Not 3,100 burpees, because actually you can't burpee a mile. Too easy.
It'd be way easier.
It would be a lot. I don't even know.
It'd be burpees all day long for 2 months.
That would be dumb. I wonder what, like, the burpee... I wonder if someone has been dumb enough to go after, like, the 24-hour record of burpees.
Oh, for sure at this point.
Well, I told you about the pull-ups.
No.
Did I tell you guys about the pull-ups? So way back when we had Alex Hutchinson on, I was doing a little research to get ready for our interview with him. And he now works with Outside a lot. Outside has a podcast, and they have a sweat science section called on their podcast. So it ended up being a little bait and switch. I thought Alex had a cool podcast segment with Outside. I'm like, oh, this is great. They feature him and interview him, but what they were looking at were just like kind of weird, odd endurance-y things.
Oh, right.
And this is where they followed these guys that were going after the Guinness Book of World Record of strict pull-ups in a day.
One person.
One person. Do you want to hazard a guess, like ballpark?
I feel like we did talk about this.
We might have talked about it, but I think it's kind of fun to revisit.
I would say it's in the, 800 or something. No.
Try multiplying that by 10.
What? 8,000?
Yes. 8,000 pull-ups. These guys would train, and they would do this rhythm where they would get up and they would do 5 burpees.
Look, Sanjay's calling.
Every 30 seconds, and they'd go from there.
I'll call him back.
Yeah, we'll get Sanjay on in a second. So anyway, that was super fun. Carrie says, hey everyone, so excited to watch the live show again. Does anyone know where the last live show went? I can't get it to work on YouTube. Is there a podcast version? Carrie, if you look back in our previous weeks, all the live shows should be there. For those of you guys who were watching last week, I didn't have my business wife / tech support with me. I was shooting from the back of a pickup truck under a ski lift in Mammoth where I thought I had the best. Well, you'll be proud of me. I used my little speed test app
there you go.
to try to figure out where there was good upload speeds. So I started one time and it just crashed. I started again and there was no audio, and then I started a third time and then I had audio and everything, but I couldn't see messages. And I could see you guys writing after the fact.
Right.
But it was weird. I'm so used to you guys writing to us when we talk, and it just felt like
it's a monologue.
no one was paying attention. So I was only on for 6 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
But then
I tried this on and I had a hard time with it, yeah.
But then later that afternoon, I did a cool 15-minute mini interview live show with Alexi.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to go check that out, that is the other thing that would be really fun. Oh dang, Eric says up to 130 burpees a day. I try to do 100 burpees straight for time every couple days to see how much faster I complete them each time.
Wow.
You are a stronger, braver man than me. I've been having to be creative with my burpees.
Yep.
So actually this morning I kind of did 100 because I just wanted to get them done.
Yeah.
But if I've been running, I try to throw them in every couple minutes.
Okay.
When I was driving out to Mammoth,
Yeah.
I would find gas station parking lots that were the least bit dirty. And so if you happen to be anywhere in Tahoe or on the lonely highway, saw a weird bearded man doing burpees while his car is filling up in gas, that was me.
That is awesome. I wish we had like one of those. Actually, they probably do. Those gas stations, the camera that's taking a picture.
I know.
Yeah. That'd be great. What's this guy doing?
Exactly. What is this guy doing?
So you like that muffin, eh?
Dude, the muffin is tasty.
Good, right?
It's really good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like perked up. I was like, been a little tired this week. I think I've just...
Nate worked all weekend last weekend, so...
If you were in the beginning of, caught the beginning of the show and you saw that footage of those women running in these mountains, that's a little preview of some videos that are going to be coming out in the next month. Super hyped for these. We got to spend 4 days, and Paige and I got to spend 4 days with Alexi Pappas, who is a 31:36 10K runner, which is absurdly fast. She trains with the Mammoth Track Club, and one of her training partners is Dina Castor, who's still out
kicking,
there running and gunning.
Yeah.
And Dina Castor is interesting because she is an Olympic bronze medalist in the marathon.
Yep.
And
was that in London?
I think it was Greece.
Was it Greece? Okay.
Yeah. And she is the current American women's marathon record holder in like 2:22, which is so fast. So these guys are doing 6'5".
Not to mention she's a director and actor in her own film.
Alexi,
Tracktown.
Yeah, she's a great movie. Super fun. We got some great interviews, and I got to do like half workouts with them while I was filming. So trying to run a 6x1 mile while they're running like 5:10 pace, and I'm trying to like hold the camera. Well, first I was on a bike, like a janky mountain bike.
You tried that?
Yeah, but like, okay, have you been on the dirt roads where they've got like the real bumps and you're in the car and it's like this?
Yeah. Oh, you can't.
So they're running in the smooth parts, and for me to film next to them, I'm in like the bumpy part. And it was like, I'm gonna be that film guy that like crashes into a runner, like breaks her leg. She's like out for 2020.
No. Yeah,
and then I was like, I can't do that. So I had to ditch the bike, and I was like, I am just going to run with them as long as I can go. So I would go like 400 to 800 meters at a time.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
And then they would continue. They would rest 2 minutes, and they would come back.
So you did half the workout.
But I would get like 8 minutes of rest in between, and just like run my eyes out for 2 or 3 minutes.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was super fun.
Wow. Hey guys, while we're kind of getting the intro here, we have 2 links for you to check out below. First is the Gleam link. We're giving away our injury prevention series, completely overhauled last year. Brand new videos, new format. Probably for the amount of time you have to kind of invest in watching the videos and stuff, kind of the most applicable and most impactful, short program that we have. Yeah. So it's super awesome. If you have not checked it out, you definitely should. But we're giving away 3 of them, I believe. And so sign up below. 3 of them means you have really good odds of winning.
Yeah.
And then, one more thing. We talked about our mobile app, which is coming out this spring. And that means that we need people to help us test it. We are still working on it. We're going to put out a test version, a beta version, in February in about 2.5 weeks. And we would love for you, if you're in our training club, all the stuff not all of it, but a lot of the stuff in the app right now is from the training club. So if you're in the training club and would love to, and you have an Apple device, because that's where we're coming on Apple devices first, click the link. It's all the way at the bottom of the description. There's a link that says sign up for the mobile app, and then we will send you an email. And we're hoping to get a bunch of people on there to give us feedback.
Yeah. We are really excited about the app. I'm excited for a few reasons. One, because I think it's really going to change how people interact with our programs. Yeah. And the second thing is that I don't have to do any work for it. That makes me very happy. I want to say another thing, though, about the injury prevention series.
Okay,
I'm just gonna sail right over that. Go for it. Craig is like... The injury prevention series, guys, is something that that all runners, you can and should be using before they're injured. Right? Not when it actually happens. If you wait till the injury actually occurs, it's too late. Sometimes we say the car's already crashed. It's really hard to hammer.
That's why it's called the Injury Prevention Series.
Oh, there we go.
Not to be confused with the I'm Injured series, which is coming out later this year. No joke.
The O beep sound. Yeah. Exactly one. And it's so great. So there's our great go-to mobility exercises on how to open up your quads if your knee or IT band is sore, how to work on your calves and your hamstrings, and a lot of areas that you don't. So please, I'm just saying you don't even have to, you guys just got to be doing this stuff on the regular, especially if you're running this year and you've got any serious ambitions. And get on it. We'll get off my soapbox now. Yeah. We can move on. Let's say hi to people.
All right. We have Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions.
I know.
Who emailed me, I think.
He did.
Thank you for doing that. And then, what else? David Friswell, Neil Cole, Cheetah K-Mouse. A lot of people we know you guys.
Robin from Puerto Rico.
Kelly Olson, Richard Hawley, just back from running in Zero. Guys, I want to know who is in Chicago right now and went out for a run.
Oh man.
Be
careful.
Crazy.
It is crazy how cold it is in certain parts of the country.
It's so cold that the whole thing where you put a bucket of water out and it turns into snow before it falls.
Yeah, that's what's happening, huh?
Look, that happened 20 degrees ago. That happens at 10 degrees. They're at negative 15 and stuff like that.
It's so bad, huh?
It's dangerous. I don't actually recommend going out and running. I think it's actually...
it's harsh on the lungs and everything. If you can run and work out inside, no skin exposure, it's really...
I don't even know how you would bundle up for that in any way that would be even semi-palatable.
Totally. William says hello. Mark from Laredo, Texas. Sterling Thompson. Richard Hawley. Kelly, what's up, Kelly from Wet SoCal. Nicole, Jewel Smith. Alvis Alfonador, how are you guys doing?
I don't feel the Wet SoCal has any room to complain at this point.
No.
Chicago's facing negative 15.
Yeah, and we need that rain, right? Tosh Noviembra. Melissa, how are you doing? Andy, Forest of Dean Runner.
I'm glad that you guys have tried the superhero muffins. I'm going to freeze some of them because I made 12 of them. I don't want to eat all of them right now, considering I know what I put into that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Half a cup of honey is going to go down my stomach.
Yeah. So there's one or two other things I wanted to talk about with the burpees that I thought was sort of fun.
Okay.
I have been experimenting with polls in our community section, which is so cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but on our YouTube channel, sometimes on Monday or Tuesday, I've been putting out little polls or comments that you can check in and participate. We had a bunch of people go in this. I think it was 500 or 600 people respond. But I asked the question with their burpees and their breathing. And I said, I can breathe with my burpees, easy day. I hold my breath at times, burpees are the worst. And I never thought about it, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And can you guess what the percentages are?
I don't know.
What's the majority?
Majority says, I don't know.
About 52% said they don't think about it. And I love this answer because the whole purpose of this challenge and a lot of exercise we do is to get you guys thinking about it purposefully.
Right.
And, there's no right or wrong per se, but thinking about being smoother with it and just drawing a little bit of awareness is big. Because if we're not aware of what we are doing, how do we make any changes?
I
How do we
mean,
make changes, yo?
I've definitely been going through phases of thinking about my breathing when I'm running in terms of like how deep is it going, right? The noise breathing mile definitely helps with that.
Yeah, but like breathing while you're writing emails, while you're doing this, like just that ability to pull our awareness strategically in certain places and focus on it is big. So hopefully these are little thought/physical experiments that
I have been really enjoying my running lately. Can I just say that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
It's been awesome. I've just been going out like 6 miles on the regular.
Yeah.
Nothing real special. I was doing some track workouts for a few weeks, and then I got sick last week, so I skipped it this week. But just running with no purpose.
Yeah.
It's been great. Been listening to B.B. King's Live at the Regal every morning.
Yeah, there we go.
Gets me in the mood for the day.
That guy is a stud.
Yeah.
I have another fun running story from this weekend.
Let's do it.
So on Sunday, I got to run with on their long run for a little bit, and they're running 16 miles.
Sure.
I wasn't planning on going 16 miles, but I was like looking at the scene. It's like, okay, I need to capture some of this stuff. There's a van that was following, and it's like, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to film from the van all the time. It's like, I'll start with them, see what happens. They're cruising at 5,000 feet at like 650 pace.
Yep.
The women, the guys are faster. They're probably like 615, something like that. And there's chatting. And for me, like I'm working. Like right now, that's my. If I'm super fit, that might be my half marathon pace, but I can't really hold a conversation. So I make it about 3.5 miles. And I'm like, I gotta get in the van. So I'm like chilling for the van for 5 or 6 minutes. I get out again. I catch up with them. I run probably another 2 miles. And there are times where I'm like running, and then the van like takes off up the road.
Are you holding the camera?
Holding camera.
Okay.
And I'm like, the van takes off up in the road. I'm like, oh man, that's my ride. Now I like really have to stay. And then I get in the van again, and then I rode another. So, but I did like 6.5 miles at like 650 pace.
Nice.
Yeah, with the camera. So they were
the camera. I feel like holding the camera is it's not the weight of it. It's the fact that you can't get into a rhythm.
It's weird.
All of a sudden, now you're like this, and you're like, this does not. This feels like a weird exercise.
It feels so strange when it's just one hand.
Yeah.
And the other thing is because these people, like I started to develop a little bit of rapport with, but not a ton.
Right.
And it's like I'm like I've got the camera in their face, and I want them relaxed. So I'm like trying to tell stories.
Yeah.
And just laugh and joke around. So I'm like laughing and joking, holding the camera
talking and chilling
at my
out?
threshold. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're talking and chilling out. So anyway, that was super fun to be able to run with a bunch of Olympians in their training ground.
Yeah, I wish I'd gotten to go. That's awesome.
Should we get Sanjay on?
Let's do it. All right, Sanjay, if you're listening, we're calling you. Here's your headpiece.
The bud. Here we
go.
All right,
guys.
So we've got a very cool guest, guys.
What
today.
do you guys think the odds are? We have a new mic set up so that I get this right the first time.
Ooh, let's see what happens.
I don't know. Let's see how this goes.
We're gonna get our guest in here. All right.
Hey. There he is. All right, can you hear us?
Yes, just a second.
We're gonna make sure
looks
that
like the Skype call might actually be a little bit too loud.
Let's bring that down a little bit, guys. Let's make sure that you can hear us as well.
Oh, there's something wrong going here.
Are you guys?
It's a Blue Yeti.
Yeah, we can pick you up, but there appears to be
A little something.
something that's clicking.
I think that sometimes happens and then it goes away. There's usually a little bit of clicking at first, and
I'm
and it
hearing
usually
with
fades.
Well, let's see what our guests say, because
Yeah. Let's see how the sound is. How's the sound, guys?
yeah, let me try one other thing. Hold on. So we were just taking bets.
Clicking. Yeah, there's a clicking sound.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna figure the skipping sound out.
Let's try this.
Sound is good from Sanjay. Weird clicking sound. Okay, maybe it's on our side.
Okay. How about now, Sanjay? Say something.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, there we go.
Clicking's gone,
We
hopefully.
figured it out.
Should be better. Okay, sound
right.
is good now.
Okay, well, welcome. We're going to be looking here because this is our camera, but we see you.
Yeah.
Or actually, we'll just
You'll
go
just
like
sort of
this,
see
yeah.
our. So Sanjay, why don't we start with where you're currently calling in from and what time it is, because you have
exactly. It looks dark there.
serious points for jumping on the call today.
Well, one of my goals in 2019 was to become a very enthusiastic morning runner, and I'm practicing right now. It's
There we go.
4:21 a.m.
Okay.
A little bit after 4 a.m. here in Bali, Indonesia, and already a balmy 87 degrees and 90% humidity. So
Wow.
yeah, if you see sweat on my face, give me a break.
It's because you just came back from a run, and
He's already done his burpees as part of the burpee challenge, and that's crazy. So how long are you in Bali for?
It's gonna be too short. It's always too short here. I'll be here for another 12 days.
Wow.
I'm using every minute I possibly can. There's an ocean about 100 yards from me. Swimming, surfing, running. It's got everything that one would want as a New Yorker in February.
Right, yeah, no kidding.
That's true.
And is this a work trip or a play fun trip or a little bit of both?
Work is a very bad word in my lexicon right now.
Gotcha.
It's a play trip.
It's a play trip. I like that.
There you go.
Well, we always enjoy.
Well, we'll try to keep this fun.
Yeah.
So why don't you introduce, because not everybody will know about your upcoming movie.
Or recently released movie.
Recently released now.
Because it's been out. So my first, actually, Sanjay, got to, you came on my radar when I listened to your interview with Mario, who's a mutual friend on his podcast, and I was just very fascinated about the movie that you made, but also just your own background with running and why you created it. We had a chance to sit in San Francisco for coffee when you came out to premiere or do a screening of your movie. And it was really fun to connect personally, and then to have you on the show and just share some of your story with our runners, because I think they would love to hear about this 3,100 mile self-transcendence run and what inspired you to make a movie around it. So why don't we start there?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, and thanks for all the folks that are tuning in. The movie's called 3,100 Run and Become. I actually moved to New York City from Berkeley, in 1997 in January, and that was actually the summer that just a mile away from my house in Queens, an Indian spiritual teacher named Sri Chinmoy had started what was then and now the world's longest certified race, 3,100 miles. And his marathon team had a strong track record of managing multi-day, 6-day, 10-day races, 1,300-mile races. And they decided to stage this gargantuan effort because they felt in those days that the ultra-distance community was developed the capacity to do that amount of mileage. Now,
Right.
3,100 miles, break it down. People have to average 59 miles a day within the 52-day period. They're allowed to run from 6 a.m. until midnight every day, but the course is a closed loop, and this is what a lot of ultra runners and trail runners have a really, really hard time comprehending.
Yeah.
The race happens every summer on a sidewalk around a high school in New York City.
That is so crazy. So they have to run average 59 miles a day, and it's a half-mile loop?
That's correct. It's sidewalk. It's New York City summer, brutal heat, brutal temperatures. The only variation is that every day they switch directions.
Oh, that's good.
That's incredible.
Otherwise you get dizzy.
It seems brutal, but it's if you read the race reports of the folks doing the transcontinental from SF to New York, they've got to go over the Sierras, they've got to go over the Wasatch Range, they have to go over the Rockies, and it's not downhill from there. If any of the listeners have been to Nebraska, Iowa, it's hilly.
Yeah.
So the idea with the 3,100 was to strip away all the logistics. The ultimate goal, and this is why people do the race, is that after 6 to 10 days, apparently people's bodies really, become accustomed and acclimatized, and you enter into that running flow that we all seek for even moments in our workout. And people
Wow.
are in that flow for 17, 18 hours a day. That's why our main character, a paperboy from Finland, a guy named Ashprihanal Alto, has run the race now 14 times. Like,
Wow.
get this, in the city of New York, on the streets and in the parks, including some 6 and 10 day races that Ashprihanal did in the 90s, he's logged more than 53,000 racing miles.
That's
That's like
incredible.
That
you'd
is
have to do you have to do a marathon a week for 40 weeks or so. I mean, 40 years to
Yeah.
get that mileage. You have to run 100-mile weeks for 10 straight years to get that
To get
mileage, and
that.
that's his race mileage. And he doesn't even live in New York. He's from Finland.
Yeah.
he,
That
he
is
So
so
comes. I mean,
incredible.
this is like somebody going on a 2 month like silent retreat every year, except for you're running instead of
Yeah.
It's just
So people jump in races for different reasons, right? And I'd love to hear about what people's motivations are in this and why this is such a different event. People sometimes will travel to Europe to run around Mont Blanc and make it like a destination sort of vacation in this experience. Sometimes people do it to run a certain time or a race medal. Like, what are the runners' motivations for doing this, especially doing it 14 times?
yeah.
That's why we made the movie. And the movie, you should just like in the spot that it would be the most boring movie in the world if we just filmed people running around the block. But
Right.
we tried to explain exactly that through visuals, not necessarily through talking head interviews or experts. In the movie we have a Navajo runner. We got rare access to the Japanese marathon monks. We also spent time hunting with the Kalahari Bushmen in Botswana. And that circles back to why people come and do the 3,100-mile race. The first couple of years in 97, 98, I think, the American distance running community came out to do it just for the challenge. But now people do it because it's one of the, I would say, one of the only races that kind of guarantees spiritual transformation.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'll use the example of an ultra runner last year from Israel, kind of a more known one, named Kobe Oren.
Okay.
Kobe came to really set records and run times, and he set the Israeli national record as a split for 1,000 miles during the 3,100. But
Wow.
then he realized that he was focusing on time. He wasn't actually enjoying the race, and he paraphrased that if he didn't start like going into the spirituality of the race, he probably would never even remember the race in 10 years. And he ultimately realized that the race wasn't about miles, it wasn't about laps, it was about the ritual of running. It was about footsteps. It was about, understanding where you were in that moment. And it essentially requires you to want to get into the flow.
Yeah.
And once that happens, miles strip away, the monotony strips away, and it gives people a reason to come back year after year because
Interesting.
they end the race different people than when they start.
Huh. So I know with like meditation, people meditate anywhere from 10 minutes to however
Days,
extended
weeks,
period
months,
of time.
yeah.
And I know, Craig, you've mentioned this when you have done your silent retreats, like there's like a little bit of a settling time
For
in the
sure.
beginning, and then usually in the middle or later, that's when things start to come out. When do you feel like people like hit or start to hit that point of I'm becoming different in this journey, right? From day 1 to 52.
I mean, this is the sad fact. I mean, everybody knows that it's going to happen at some point in the race, but there's one friend of mine who's done the race now 11 times, I think finished it twice. And he said that like his worst experience was when that only kicked in around day 43. With, yeah, that was a brutal summer for him. But the reward was there. When he got it, the reward was there. Most people say it takes somewhere between 6 and 10 days.
Wow.
And it's not even so much a mental thing. It's like the body gets used to the pounding. The
Right.
body becomes acclimatized to the humidity and the
Incredible.
constant stress. I mean, they're taking 10 to 12,000 calories a day.
Wow.
And that's basically they're trying to do 600, 700 calories an hour.
Do you have any sense of what you might believe to be the health impact of doing a race like this?
It depends. Naturally, there's some people who've done the race, a dozen times who will probably not race again in their life, and they're in their 50s or early 60s. But the idea of running on a sidewalk, that's sometimes cambered, would kind of like hint to way more health problems than there actually are.
Yeah.
I think the main problem people have is trying to get active again without recovering. And this is the key. It's like, it's like you guys have done like hard marathons, hard ultras. It could take, a month or longer before you start feeling like nerves in some parts of your legs.
Right.
Here, it's like, speaking to some of the women finishers, a woman named Kaninika Janikova from Slovakia, who's done the race like the last 4 years. She finishes the race somewhere like around August 7th, August 8th. But a few years in succession, she hadn't actually started running again. She hadn't run a single step until February.
Wow. So she took like 6 months
That
or whatever off. Yeah.
Yeah. And the year that we filmed Ashprihan Alto, which was 2016, he started that race, when it starts, which is Father's Day in June. He hadn't run a step since his finish the year before in 2015. And in 2015, he set a course record averaging almost 77 miles a day and finishing in 40 days. And
he went 10 months without running at all and then went back in and did this again?
Yeah, I mean, like, he couldn't run. It's like he'd go out for like, a mile or two, but he realized like he had no enthusiasm. His body had like no like response to the miles, and he realized he hadn't recovered.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And
it just makes you think how people like train and prepare for this, or if there really isn't any training or preparation one can do, and you just kind of ease in and go slow.
Yeah.
So I think the corollary is one of the threads of the movie 3100 Run and Become. We spent time in Kyoto on Mount Hiei with the kind of elusive, misunderstood, famous Japanese marathon monks. They pick one aspirant every 7 or 8 years to do 1,000 days of running. Now, put your math hats on really quickly. Those 1,000 days are split up into 10 100-day chunks. The first 100 days, they're doing about 11.5 miles in sandals and robes on a single-track trail that goes up and down a mountain of 3,000 feet elevation.
Oh, wow.
By the last cycle, they're doing 56.5 miles a day for 100 days straight. And the kicker is that if they don't finish their daily mileage on any one single day, they have to take their own life. And so you can imagine the preparation for that. You can't run or do a race like that if fear is your motivation. So all their preparation happens before they, quote unquote, toe the line. And on a different, much less critical level, the 3,100 mile runners basically say that, if you're not ready to challenge everything you need to by the starting line, you're not going to come up with that power during the race.
Right.
So you have to start with enthusiasm. You have to start with cheerfulness. You have to start with that kind of like childlike aspect to running, where the miles have to be fun. And that's what you guys are so good at, making the miles fun.
Wow.
Yeah, that is incredible.
It almost, like the more you talk about it and the more I've heard you talk about it, the more my understanding is that it actually isn't about the running at all.
Right.
It's much more about I don't even say the challenge. The challenge makes it seem like it's competition within yourself, but it seems something more transcendent.
But isn't that true for all runners though, to a certain degree?
Yeah.
Like how many people just found running, and running serves this greater purpose of it's a stress release. It makes me social. It feels good. Like there are a lot of activities that could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just so happen to have chosen running, and a lot of you guys have chosen running to do that.
Yeah. How has this changed your running, Sanjay?
I was a pretty good track athlete in high school, in California, state ranked, went to college, came from an immigrant family where nobody in the 90s understood that running could be a career.
Right.
And so the choice at Cal was like run or become a doctor. Like there was no real ostensible way in my mind or my family's mind that I could do both. And obviously I didn't become a doctor and I didn't become a runner. But, I hated running. I absolutely hated
Yeah.
it because in high school and, when I ran a little bit afterwards, it was all about winning.
Right.
And in high school, I would win all the time. But then when you
Yeah.
start running against people that are better than you, way
Yeah,
better
next
than you,
level.
you realize you're never going to win again in your life. Like,
Right.
why run?
I had that experience.
Interesting. So
I
for
know that you
you,
guys
like
have to go
running was like a big competitive drive,
Yeah.
and it had that all or nothing component to it.
There were a lot of people
Yeah.
on my track team in college that they weren't runners so much as they were competitors. Like the running was just kind of like the thing that they were competing in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is like the interesting nexus. Like, you see, we got to spend some time with Kate Grace of the Bowerman Track Club when the movie was in Portland. And, Kate and that team, like everybody at that elite level, after running 10, 15 years, they're trying to make running fun.
Right.
And the only way you can really make running, in my opinion, the only way you can really make running fun is if you really use it to make you a better person. Otherwise, it's just like, it's too hard.
Yeah.
And so, Kate was talking about this visualization that she does, and she's an 800-meter Olympian. She does a visualization, across the 2 laps of the race where she begins by imagining a tiny light in her heart. And as the race progresses, and granted, it's a fast race, as the race progresses, she imagines that tiny little light expanding until it's the size of the sun, and it bursts, towards
That's
the end.
really
And so
cool.
it's like, she even in an 800-meter race, she's trying desperately and successfully to connect with something that's way beyond running. And that's
Yeah.
what I've come to learn. It's like running is not so much about running. Running is a vehicle to experience something that you can't when you're literally sitting.
Right.
And when we go back to like Native American beliefs, like running was the only activity that would connect your feet to Mother Earth and your breath to Father Sky. So it's kind of like this primal
Right.
activity that makes us spiritual beings as humans, and you can't separate the two. Even
Yeah.
if you don't run for spiritual reasons, you're getting a spiritual benefit. And so, in our movie 3100 Run and Become, we're just trying to show that there's a deep philosophical and spiritual ethos to running that's not just manifest in exotic cultures, but it's manifest when people try to push the extremes of daily mileage.
That's interesting.
And when you were filming this race for I imagine quite a long period of time, like did you feel like it changed your relationship with running?
To be frank, like when I first moved to New York in 1997, that race scared the daylights out of me.
I imagine.
I mean, I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't fathom it. And it took me 15 to 20 years to kind of overcome my absolute fear of the race itself. That said, the race starts every Father's Day in Queens, New York City. You can look at my Instagram, 3100 Film.
Yeah.
You can see where the pictures are tagged. And I would recommend that, if people are in the area, that they come out for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
Watch it.
Right.
I mean, without sounding all religious, I kind of look at it like a temple for self-transcendence. Like when you go there, everybody from the helpers to the runners are committed to like helping people break barriers. And there's like this palpable feeling, even though the runners are sometimes moving at the pace of or the speed of molasses, like running out of a jar.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's an exceptional environment when you know that people are all there to push the absolute limits of human potential. You could New York. You can order a pizza, you can order Chinese food and sit there in a lawn chair for 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
You said there are like 15 people that enter every year?
Yeah, anywhere between 12 and 15. I think this coming summer there's 14 people signed up. Usually 1 or 2 drop out.
One more slot, man.
Sanjay, I thought I heard you were going to jump in and do it. I thought that was... I don't want to take your spot. I want to make sure that, you have it.
Oh, I'm not gonna do it this year. You can have a spot. I'm sure that open up one of these.
Maybe we can do it on our
And
giveaway.
what percentage actually finish of the 15?
It anywhere between 35% and 50% finish
Okay.
every year. There's fewer women than men that do it every year. There's usually half the number of women.
I'm
So
actually
like
surprised at
usually
that.
four or
Yeah.
five women, 8 or 9 men. But the finishing rate for women is higher, I think, than the men. It's
Yeah.
like usually 60% of the women finish, maybe 40% of the men
Yeah.
finish. Um,
So,
Wow.
so speaking of self-transcendence, will these runners run with headphones and listen to music or podcasts or interviews? Will they
The
not
batteries
listen to
are
anything? Are people allowed to run with them for a little while? Like, could you have a pacer crew just like jog next to you? What are like some of the rules for this event?
So these are great questions. I'll take one step back. Like the way to qualify for this race is to do a sanctioned 6-day or preferably 10-day race. And they
Wow.
want you to average, and there's a bunch of them. They want you to average more than 65 miles a day. Like if you can't
Wow.
average 65 miles a day for 6 days, you're going to have trouble with 60
Yep.
for
Yeah.
50 days. And then the other kind of unwritten rule is that the race directors of the 3100 always talk to the race directors of your 6 or 10-day attempt to ask and find out whether at your lowest low, were you a tolerable person to be around?
Yeah,
A
it's
half
fair.
mile course, a half mile loop is small, and everybody affects everybody else.
Yeah, so it's like a
Then when
team atmosphere.
it really really is.
You're
So then
spending 2
when
months
people,
together.
Yeah.
yeah, when people enter the race together, like they're really cognizant of what people's capacities are, and the atmosphere is really encouraging you to reach that capacity, but not really to go beyond it. So once you qualify, and you're in, if I think the entry fee is $1,700, and you get 2 months of lodging and 2 months of all you can eat food in sunny New York City.
That's a great deal.
It's I just think about like just the logistics of.
Yeah.
I mean, the course is open for 18 hours a day, so I mean they're not even sleeping normal amounts either
Yeah.
while they're doing this. So they're really. I mean, I wonder what role sleep deprivation plays in it. 2 months of sleeping less than 6 hours.
Will
a night.
everyone run 18 hours a day as far as they can, or do they have predetermined mileage and they'll stop earlier in the evening, so then they've got like more sleep and recovery time?
It depends on the person. Some people will like, turn off the lights at 9, 10 p.m. Some people realize that it's like you know, it doesn't matter how few hours you sleep or how many hours you sleep. People say that when you lay down at night, it's like laying in a sleeping bag filled with glass. So like the recovery doesn't come necessarily from the sleep. The recovery comes from the movement. And so
Right.
to go back to your question, like previously, people do listen to a lot of music. They listen
Yeah.
to a lot of podcasts. But at the same time, it's like there comes a time in the race, in each day, usually in the evening, where like all systems are go, and from like 6 p.m. to midnight, when the temperature starts cooling down, when people's bodies are absolutely warmed up, you start seeing people like crank out the miles, and then
Okay.
it's like the headphones drop, and people are just in that state that we all would die to be in for just a minute every run.
Yeah.
Wow. And in terms of food, they're providing the food for the
Yes.
the 2 months. Okay, so everybody's eating the same thing then.
Yeah, so like the base diet is like lacto-ovo vegetarian. If you want to eat meat, you basically have your own helper, order takeout, or take in.
Well,
And
You know where you'll be.
I know, right?
It's brutal. The eating part is brutal. A lot of people do revert to the vegetarian diet just because,
less stress in the
digestibility.
system. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, you're eating like a Dixie cup of food every lap, and like a couple Dixie cups of liquid. And so like maximizing like that slurry in your stomach and the digestibility is like, I think that's what you learn from doing ultras, and that's what you learn from doing the 6 and 10 day races. Like,
Right, is
Yeah.
what you can eat and how you can do
keep it all
it.
down.
Wow.
That's incredible. So,
Is this the longest race? Is this the longest
Yeah.
race? Yeah.
It's the longest certified race in the world.
oh man.
And people there's somebody there that's counting every lap for these people so they can,
Yeah, that for in every minute there's probably 10 to 15 volunteers, either making food, either doing shopping, doing laundry. There's always at least 2 people manually counting laps down to the second. Just because
Yeah.
in this race people set multiple age group, national, even world records for 600 miles, 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles. And then this is the crazy thing, like Sri Chinmoy, the Indian spiritual teacher, like he set it at 3,100 miles, but the Europeans realized that 3,107 miles is 5,000 kilometers. So after the beautiful on the course finishing ceremonies that happen at 3,100 miles, a lot of the Europeans will get back out and do the additional 7 mile victory lap, which I wouldn't do. I would just be
Yeah.
like, that's it. I'm going to do
Oh
Yeah.
this.
my
Get back.
God.
That's incredible. My
I'm
goodness.
not surprised. I would be surprised that somebody else is just like, you know what? I'm gonna go for 1 more mile just so I can say I'm the longest.
What I'm wondering what I know that's a long GPS battery life right there to capture that.
Every time that I feel like I've heard one of the craziest feats of endurance, there comes another one around that I hadn't heard of that is crazier, and it's to the point where it's really hard to just wrap your head around what actually is happening there.
Yeah.
And,
Edward.
oh,
Sorry.
sorry. I was gonna say the race is old school. They don't have an Instagram account. They don't post on social media. Our film's on Amazon and iTunes for rental and purchase. But I would really, really strongly recommend that at some point next summer across the 52 days, you guys, it'd be great to have you guys out there.
That would be pretty
Yeah,
amazing. We
that
should
would be
do
really
that.
neat,
Yeah.
actually.
Out, do a show from there. It would be absolutely.
What are the
absolutely
dates?
Awesome. Starts on Father's Day, which is the 3rd Sunday of June, and then
Uh-huh.
it runs for 52 days, usually till around August 6th to 9th, somewhere around there.
Incredible.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. We could do that. That'd be really fun.
All right, guys. Live show from New York.
Live from New York City. That'd be incredible.
Wow.
So,
that is just such an amazing thing to witness somebody attempting that. It seems like a
Incredible.
experience in itself.
So, guys, speaking of the movie, if you enter our giveaway link, there is information there to check out the website of the movie, and I'm sure from there you'll be able to get directed to where you can, purchase or rent it. And you said it's on Amazon and on iTunes, correct?
Right.
Yeah. That's right. In the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah. How has it changed the audience, like people who've watched it? Like what feedback have you heard from people who've watched this movie?
It varies. From the Native Americans who watch the film, it just validates how powerful their culture has been. There's probably 1 or 2 trails in the entire United States that we run on that hasn't been run on for thousands and thousands of years. Like the running culture in Native North America runs unfathomably deep. But for the rest of us that didn't grow up with running as a religion, running as a rite of passage, and this is my experience too. It's like running has become a lot more fun because I really see it as essential as meditation or prayer. It's like it's actually finally become like a spiritual practice for me. And I hear that over and over and over, that a lot of runners knew in their hearts why they were running, and to realize that they were part of a much, much larger brethren and a million-year lineage of looking at running as a connection to the divine, as a connection to the deepest energy of Mother Earth, that when your feet touch Mother Earth, it's actually a form of prayer that men and women have used for thousands of years. That to me has been the universal experience of the movie.
Yeah,
That is
incredible.
absolutely incredible. So we dropped the link in there for the.
We did,
We're
yes.
running short on time here.
What do you want to ask?
Well, I think that there's like, from the standpoint of our audience, like for a lot of people, they haven't, obviously they can experience it and they're to watch your movie, which sounds like the clearest way of kind of understanding the race. But how is it that other people have found out about the race prior to this? Is it like part of the ultra running community that is always going after these multi-day races, or like how did you first discover that this thing existed?
It's a bit of an unusual history, right? Because like there have been multi-days since the late 1800s, and in the mid 1980s, Fred Lebow, the New York City Roadrunners president, and Sri Chinmoy restarted a 6-day race in Flushing Meadow Park, where the U.S. Tennis Center is in New York City. And I think back in the 80s, a lot of former marathon runners who ran for counterculture reasons realized that marathoning was becoming too mainstream, and they wanted an experience not necessarily of running 100 challenging miles. They wanted to push the mileage and run as many miles as they could, and that required like the logistical setup of 1 mile loops, dedicated food tents, dedicated timers, sleeping on the course and running for 6 to 10 days. And so multi-days were really, really popular in the 80s. I think their popularity has precipitously declined with like the boom in trail running, and trail running being seen as like ultra running. This new crop of social media savvy, incredibly fast, former collegiate stars that are now like running mountain ultras.
Right.
So I liken the 3100 to like the extraordinarily technical Himalayan mountain in Pakistan that like 90% of people who climb Everest don't know about, but the few that go like Everest was a piece of cake.
Right.
If you want to like challenge mortality, go spend 2 months to do this little tiny pitch in Pakistan.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
People who are like people in the underground world of ultra running and multi-days like know it exists, but I think that they're still trying to like wrap their head around why to do the race.
Yeah, unbelievable. And
incredible.
Have you always been a filmmaker, or was it this that captured your attention?
I worked as a human rights consultant in a lot of countries overseas, and shot a lot of photography and a lot of video, and began making short films around human rights stuff. My dad was in the tomato industry in California, so my first film was on farm workers, called Food Chains, and Eva Longoria produced it. Forrest Whitaker narrated it.
Wow.
But after eating the best Mexican food ever for 2 years straight, I needed a topic that would get me healthy again. So.
Wow. Well, any future projects we should keep our eyes peeled for, Sanjay?
Well, I'm working on a fiction movie, a narrative movie about, in my opinion, the greatest American female runner in history, and nobody knows about her. Patty Dillon. Her running name was Patty Catalano. Nike's first sponsored athlete, and between 1977 and 1981, she pretty much held every single American record between the 6K, the 5K, and the marathon. But she peaked before the 1984 Olympics, and the women whom she would regularly beat. She was the first American woman under 230, and she did that in a second place finish at New York City, like a challenging course. Patty was Native American, and her motto was spiritual, not spiritual. It was, if you're gonna beat me, I'm gonna make you bleed.
Wow, that's good. She's a competitor.
At one point, she won 48 races in 44 weeks.
Wow,
that's incredible. We have an interesting question here from the our audience, who said, asks if you could change any part of the race, what would it be?
People they all wonder why the race happens in the summer.
Right.
And it's like if you want to do a race like this in New York City, you'd need a lot of like governmental permitting support. And the only like flat loop anywhere in the area was around the school, and the city said, if you want to do it around the school, you can't do it when the school's in session.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Amazing.
They spent 5 years trying to find a course, and so I wouldn't change the course because apparently it was really hard to find. But I would make it like in the fall when it was like 20 degrees cool.
Right. Because like who doesn't love, humidity and scorching temperatures and daily thunderstorms?
The thunderstorms would be like a welcome relief. Do you know like how many pairs of shoes people on average?
I was going to ask that actually.
People usually go between 12 to 15 pairs. They try to throw down 150, 200 miles. But as people will see in the movie, it's like when you hit multi-days, like your shoes start looking like homeless people because you cut out the toe box. You cut out the little
oh,
pad
really?
You cut out some of the side flare around the little toes because
your
find
feet swell
all
so
the
much.
Yeah, and you find all the rubbing points, and you basically use a razor blade and cut them out of the shoe.
It's almost like sandals.
It looks like yeah. So at the same time, everybody runs in super cushioned shoes.
Yeah.
If you're a minimalist runner, well, forget it.
Yeah.
So footwear is something people take seriously. And there's a cobbler, there are still cobblers. There's a cobbler that comes and resoles people's shoes so that they don't have to stop running in their lucky shoe or their favorite
they don't need to break in a new upper and the whole thing. Incredible. Man. Well, Sanjay, we could keep talking to you a lot longer on this.
Yeah, for sure. But we're looking forward to seeing the movie. Listening to the podcast with Mario, but I haven't seen the movie yet. So really, really looking forward to it, especially now. And I'm sure we'll talk about it on the next show once we've finished watching it. But thank you so much for spending the time with us and really going in detail. It's great to have you on.
Yeah. Pleasure was mine, and we'll see you next summer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we have the link to the movie up. Are there any other places where people can find you and follow you?
On Instagram at Mr. Sanjay R or at 3100 Film. You can message me there. I am our 24-hour social media manager as well. So
nice.
There we go.
Very cool.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much for getting up in the middle of the night, especially, and enjoy the rest of your vacation in Bali. It sounds awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
That was incredible.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fun.
Guys,
wow.
I have a hard time comprehending. I can't wait to watch the movie because that is something that I remember when I used to tell people, hey, I'm doing an ultra race or something, and this is, I feel like I was getting into marathons before it was popular for my friends to do it, and people thought it was crazy, and oh, I can't believe you ran and this is one of the first times where I felt, hey, this is truly out of my scope of reality.
Yeah.
Even when Dean Karnazes was running his 100, 200 miles, I'm like, okay, it seemed like, genetically he's gifted, but also a choice.
Yeah.
He's choosing to do this. This seems like beyond the level of something that I can perceive choosing to do.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but it kind of makes me interested in a multi-day event.
Yeah.
I think
maybe you and I should do a multi-day event.
Yeah, 5 or 6 day run thing. There's
I invited you to
else.
do that that event that one time when we first started working together. What was it called?
I think you backed out.
I didn't back out. You backed out. No, my original partner backed out, Brandon. And then I wanted you to take the
multi-day, running, kayaking, shopping stuff, a bunch of weird stuff up in Tahoe. But anyway, guys, it is 1. 2 more things. Before I do the giveaway, I'm going to put this link for your burpee submissions into the community chat. And this is a place where you can upload a little video of yourself doing burpees or saying why you did the challenge. We already have a bunch of submissions, and we are going to make a little compilation video after the burpee challenge ends. We want you in the video, right? It would be super fun to have you on our channel. Don't be shy if you feel weird burping, filming yourself doing burpees. Just shout a little message so you've been following along and what you got out of it. Our giveaway that is really from 2 weeks ago because we didn't do a giveaway last week is a 30-day challenge. We've got 2 winners who have our flagship program.
Not local.
And one is local. So we have Tracy Liu from San Francisco. Congratulations. And we have Chandalin Kenistrick from Smithville, Missouri. I was going to say Missouri, Montana. I always get confused. Smithville, Missouri. Congratulations, guys. You are winners each of a 30-day challenge program. I will email you those links so you can get connected and you can start on those run drills, that strength and injury prevention. We love that program, guys, because it's such a foundational thing. It resets your habits. It gets you really understanding as a runner how you need to think about your movement, your strength, your running form, everything to really stay healthy and have a great year running, which is what we're all about. You got anything else?
I have nothing else. I'm looking for my outro, but guys, I don't think we have an outro today.
Can we play the run video again?
I thought so, but apparently not.
Did it disappear?
Oh wait, hold on. No, I think we got it. I think I know what I'm doing wrong. All right, cool. Guys, we'll see you next week.
I